Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. Benjamin, join us, please. There he is, the man, the myth, the legend,
Hey,
Ben
hey.
Barber.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're gonna do part two of our last conversation, which was about the need to defend and protect ourselves, and be defensive in conversations, and why we do that. And Glenn got really jazzed up at the end, talking about the state of current events. So, Glenn, can you expand on that a little bit? You sort of talked about how nothing gets done because um, we can never take our own ego out of it to even address a problem as a problem, and agree on the problem with the other side first. So
Yeah.
can you go into that in a little bit more detail?
Yeah, I'll kind of just recap the basic thing that I ended with on the last podcast. It's, we lose track of the I just had this vision like like the dog when he sees a squirrel. It's like squirrel. We just like as soon as something else comes along, we're like squirrel. We're in the middle of COVID and like we completely forgot about it because it's a global pandemic and nobody's talking about it because of the Black Lives Matter issue. So we're just on to the next thing. And it's like I saw this meme a little while ago, which this will I'll probably get jazzed up again, so this will bring some lightness to it. But I saw this little meme that said, what about the murder hornets? Did we miss the murder hornets? I started laughing because it's like, our attention gets diverted so much. But so to reiterate what I was saying is like there's this primal issue of murdering another human being. Like that's kind of a big deal, and that's at the forefront. And if we could just stay focused on that, we could come to a solution just like any other situation out there. If we actually stayed focused on what the problem was, came together without our egos, without trying to acquire power, without trying to win an argument, and just had a free flow exchange of ideas in search of the most beneficial solution without stroking anybody's ego, we would find that solution. Then we would implement it very easily, which is the formula for the other podcasts I did. First, you can solve any problem in the world. First, identify the problem. Second, you identify the solution. And third, you implement that solution. It's very simple, but the problem is, first we identify the problem and then we never look for the solution. I mean, we glance over in the direction of one and decide one to hang our hat on. That's in alignment with whatever the political strategies of our party says, and then we fight for it. We fight. We go, no, we have to do it my way. 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 And we just fight, and nothing ever gets solved because we're not trying to solve a problem. We're trying to win an argument. So this is what's happening in our world. And I think, right now with the issue, I said that, we've got the problem of taking a human life is bad. And then the first thing we do is we separate everybody into two groups with Trump supporters and non-Trump supporters. And then we separate, those groups into people who like the term Black Lives Matter and people who don't like using that term. And then we take those two and then we separate those groups into people who think the rioting is, destroying our country, and the people who believe that the protesting is doing good. And then we take those people and dissect them into smaller groups. So we're just constantly being diverted from the actual problem at hand, which is a human being was killed and that's bad. Instead of looking at that, we keep dividing ourselves into smaller and smaller groups and trying to hang our hat on winning these arguments and separating. And by separating, we're going to, what we've been talking about is if we don't even have to, it's gotten so bad, we don't even have to win arguments anymore to feel good about ourselves. We just have to win them in our head. Like, you can be sitting there with somebody and you'll just, on social media or in person or on the phone or whatever, and you can just be like, no, this is the way you look at it. And they go, well, yeah, but what about this side? And they go, no, my way, my way. And then you go, well, I don't agree with that. Well, my way, screw you. I'm defriending you from Facebook and you're no longer my friend. And then you go, I had to defriend them. And that builds the ego even more. Like, so we don't even require a victory anymore to feel good about ourselves. We've gotten so used to feeding our ego that, like, if we stand firmly enough in what we believe, then that's a victory. I'm better than them. And it doesn't matter if somebody ever concedes and goes, yes, wow, you actually did win that. Like, no, but it's not necessary. I'll just pump up my own ego all on my own over here. It doesn't matter if I'm right or wrong to anybody else. I'm just going to if I really, 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 really believe I'm right, then I feel good about myself. It doesn't matter what the facts are. And another problem with this is that you can create a study that will prove anything. Anything. Our mind is not that clever. So, like, if you're looking to believe, I mean, how many people have dated somebody, right? And then they're in the first 3 months, they're like, oh my God, this person's wonderful. And then 6 months or a year later, they're like, oh my God, I can't believe what I was putting up with. Like, in hindsight, I see this person, even in the first 3 months, they were getting hammered every time we went out, and I made excuses for them. They had a really bad temper. I made excuses for. Why? You see what you want to see. So it's very easy to create a study that proves whatever you want it to prove good enough where you go, see, the study proves it. And then the other side comes in and goes, no, because that study actually isn't correct because they didn't come at it from this perspective. So it's actually not even valid. Or they just create a study coming from their perspective to prove what they want. So you both have studies. I'm waiting for people to look around instead of going, hey, look at my study. See, I proved it. It's fact. You can't argue with that. I'm waiting for people to stop doing that, because all they have to do is look at the other side objectively for just 1 minute, and they'll see that the other side has studies that proves their point too. Like, this isn't rocket science. There's studies on both sides. And if you lay down your weapons long enough and just open your mind a little bit, you're going to be like, oh, none of our studies mean anything. They're all a load of crap, because all they're trying to do is prove things. And you can prove anything you want from a particular perspective.
What about the issue that, so you said, the first step is identifying the problem, right? But in a lot of cases, we never get there. We never get on an agreement between two sides that there is a problem. One of the major differences right now in what's happening right now is that most people on both sides of the argument agree that there's an issue. In the way that they like climate change has people that literally do not believe that everything's a hoax. Every time there's a major issue for discussion, we're not even getting to the point now where we're identifying a problem and everybody agrees that it's a problem, and then you can look for the solution, because there's just some people are just not agreeing that there's a problem, and other people are, and then they have the studies on both sides that say this is a problem, and then no, it isn't. Here's why it isn't. So how do you get to steps 2 and 3 when people are being so defensive of a point that they won't come to an agreement on the fact that there is an issue to begin with?
Well, it's the same thing as, we used another example for contrast. It's just another version of contrast. It's like, at some point, if you just got to cross your fingers and hope that people are going to at some point wake up and go, what we're doing isn't working. Because I mean, it's not working everywhere. It's so like if you don't believe that climate change, there's got to be a problem in the world. So like so if you've got some people that believe climate change is a problem and others believe that it's not a problem, okay, well, just take it off the plate. Just momentarily, just to get people to wrap their brain around what they're doing is stupid and it doesn't work. Like, so, okay, we won't use that as an excuse. I mean, there's got to be something that everybody agrees is a problem. If not, then, well, fine. We're probably going to die off as a species, within the next 100 years or so. And I mean, I believe that is the alternative. We're either going to wake up or perish. We're either going to, and I personally, I don't really care which one. I mean, waking up sounds like it'd be a cool experience to have. I think that that's why I'm here, to help that occur. I think that's why you're here. I think that's why a lot of people are here, is to help that occur. So I would love to see it happen, but I mean, I'm eternal. So if it doesn't, I'm cool with that too. So I'm really not too concerned, but we're either going to perish separately or we're going to propel forward together. And at some point you have to be like, okay, so, okay, well, killing a person is bad. Like, that's pretty simple. We should be able to unite on that. Or there's only so much oil in the ground. We can unite on that. I don't know. Whatever.
What's interesting is that I think so more people than ever before at this moment in time have agreed that there's an issue, right?
Right.
People that have in the past like 10 years, there's at least 12 high profile incidents that were similar in nature to what just happened. However, they were the way that it captured the moment because of the pandemic and everyone, having time to notice and to focus. And then also a lot of the layers were able to be stripped away, right? So this wasn't a gun issue, which is like it was which I think is important, like the acknowledgement that this was to such an extreme visually that it was able, like, you saw a crowd of people around trying to stop it,
Yeah, it
and
was
and
extreme.
defense, it was extreme. And then also right before that, you had the woman in the park video where she's calling and she's explicitly on camera saying, "I'm going to lie to the police because I know you're afraid of," you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I know you're afraid of them. So we had these two issues in the middle of a pandemic where everybody's focused on their devices. Um,
Yeah.
and the result was that you, for the first time, had people that were, vehemently against everything that Colin Kaepernick was taking a stand for, now saying, "I get it, and I'm sorry, and I didn't realize it before, and
Right.
it wasn't meant to be an insult to the military." You know
And
what
I
I
think
mean?
that that's one
So
of the best, like, pictures I saw was, was it said, it showed the people rioting and said, "Don't protest like this."
yeah,
And then it showed Colin Kaepernick and said, "Don't, no, not like that." And then it showed, what's his name, the basketball player talking on the mic, and no, not like that. And then it showed like Kobe and some of the other players with the "I Can't Breathe" shirts on from an incident like 4 or 5 years ago. And no, not like that. It's like they've been trying to draw your attention to this over and over. And it's the exact problem that I've been talking about. Instead of listening to the message saying, "Hey guys, we have a racial problem in the United States," they go, "Well, don't tell me like that." They divert their attention to something else. And that's exactly what I felt with the Colin Kaepernick thing. Everybody was going, oh, it's right or it's wrong to kneel for the flag. And that became the issue. It's like, that's not even what we're talking about. And they go, well, it's rude to me if he kneels. I don't care if it's rude to you. Like, you can't assign a meaning to somebody else's action, especially when they say, hi, when I kneel, I'm not like disrespecting the flag, the country, or the military. I am specifically doing this to bring attention to racial. And everybody goes, no, you're not. No. And that's division right there. This is why we keep diverting our attention away from the actual problem and pretending that the problem is something else that we can manage better. Because like, you can't, it would have been a lot more difficult for people to go, no, there isn't racial inequality. And there is. Like, that wouldn't have flown. That wouldn't have been able to divert attention, because everybody would have flipped out because it's not true. And people can't even say it because they know it's not true, most people. So they instead of saying that, having two groups saying there's racial inequality and there's racial equality, they went, we'll split it into something that I can hang my hat on and not get pointed at as being a bad person. I love the United States of America. Nobody can blame me for that. Okay, I'll make that the issue, and I'll stand on that platform. The fact that we just, diverted attention from the actual issue, within a couple days, it just spun. We didn't even know what the hell the problem was anymore. So it's the diverting of attention, and it's, so I think maybe I gotta give us a little hope here. So,
please do.
I talked about this in detail in another podcast. And what did we say it was? It was the three.
Oh, yeah, the 3 steps to solving any problem? Or you're talking about the
3 types of people?
Yeah, that was how to handle arguments.
How to handle arguments. So you can probably get more detail on that one. But, when we're moving forward in life, we don't need, like, one of the reasons that we argue with the other side so much is we think we need to change them. I'm sorry, that makes me laugh. Because we're not going to. We are not going to change the other side. I don't care what the issue is. You are not going to change the other side. And the reason you're not is because of everything that we just said in the last 2 podcasts. Okay, so you're not going to change the other side. But the good news is there are 3 types of people. There are people who see. There are people who see when they are shown. And there are people who don't see even when they are shown. And, I don't like demonizing one side and labeling them as people who don't see even when they are shown. But I'm using this example because you can use it for all kinds of issues. And for the people who are really, I think, doing the work, spearheading this shift in humanity, are the people who are diving into the spiritual end of things and the just plain love and really anchoring into that. So with those 2 scenarios, this example works really well. So it's like people who see, those are the people who are spiritual, who are anchored in love, who are not attached to ego fighting and stuff like that. Then you have the people who are attached to the ego fighting way over on the other side. So we'll just say, for the sake of argument, there's like 33% of each of these on the planet. So you got 33% of people who see, you got 33% of people who see when they are shown, and you got 33% of people who don't see even when they are shown. And the thing we have to start doing is when we're having conversations, we have to be able to identify the people who don't see even when they're shown and leave them alone. Just leave them alone. They're not that powerful. They are not our enemy. We don't have to fight them. All we have to do is starve them. Just don't give them your energy. And that's enough to make them dwindle in itself. but focus on love and not arguing and not being egoic and expressing your opinions in a non-egoic, loving way. And if you can do that, then the 33% in the middle who will see if they are shown, they're going to see one side arguing and yelling and being defensive and just filled with anger. And they're going to see the other side talking, filled with love and acceptance, no matter if somebody agrees with them or not. And that they're attraction rather than promotion. They're going to be attracted to the more loving way just naturally. And their minds are open, so they're capable of choosing a side. But they're stuck because they can't choose anybody. Because these people over here are yelling at the people on the other side of them, and they're yelling at the people on the other side of them, and they're stuck in the middle. They don't know where to go. They have no guidance. They have no leadership. They have no place to go because you just got two sides screaming at each other. So be the side that doesn't scream at each other. Be the side of love. And then, hypothetically, we can have the 66%, which we don't even need that much to shift the entire universe. And that last 33% isn't going to, they'll start caving. Because the negative, it doesn't feel good. It's non-productive. It's not a good way to live. It's not what they're supposed to be doing. There's everything bad about it. So when the world starts changing, a large percentage of them are going to start coming over. They're going to start coming over because it just feels better. And the atmosphere is going to be lighter. So it's going to be easier for them to shift. And you know what? At the end of the day, there's going to be some that will never change. And they're going to die pissed off and angry no matter what happens. Let them. They're eternal too. It's okay. They'll wake up as soon as they die. They'll be like, oh, whoops. Oh my God, I missed the whole thing. I was so hard-headed. What an idiot I was. Oh, well, I'm here now. So stop trying to change the people that disagree with you.
What are some solutions for ways to encourage the people, for ways to yourself be somebody who is open to change your mind if you are shown new information, and also ways to gently show information to other people who are also in category number 2?
Be the change you wish to see in the world. I mean, that's why there's I don't know, there's a handful of statements that I can't even count how many times I've gone to in the last 17 years. And that's one of them. And it's because it is so profound. It has so much core truth to it that it applies to a gazillion different situations. So be the change you wish to see, and the way that I often say it is, all work is inside work. Do the work on yourself. You have to, there is no way to benefit the world until you benefit yourself. You can't. You can come up with neat little things like, I'm going to try not to argue. That'll help this much. I mean, is it helpful? Yeah. It's not going to help much, just a little bit, but that counts. So that's good. So you can do these little things like, I'm going to try not to argue with people. I'm going to keep my mouth shut instead of just starve arguments, starve negativity, just don't engage in it. So you can develop little traits like that and not get into arguments and really stay solution focused and stuff like that. But really, at the end of the day, it is really about self-work. The more anchored you are in your own safety, the less your ego, a lot of times we attack the ego. Oh, I have to fight my ego because it's in control. No, you don't have to fight the ego. Don't pay any attention to your ego. What you got to do is feed your love. If you feed your own self-love, you feed your connection to your source. If you're centered and anchored in love, your ego doesn't stand a chance. So you don't have to fight the ego. Just stay focused on anchoring yourself. Be the change you wish to see. Be a more loving person. Be a person that seeks out communication and an exchange of ideas instead of being right. Connect with your source. Be that person. And then as you become more of that person, that is going to be your underlying, sometimes they call it intention, your energy. It's going to drive your behaviors. What you are inside drives your behaviors. And oftentimes we get too caught up trying to change our little behaviors instead of changing the core thing that drives it. So that's why all work is self work. If we do put most of our focus on just being a more loving person and anchoring into that, then that's our driving force. So the way we interact with people is naturally going to fall in line with that because it's underneath it. So that, that's, and then when you don't argue with somebody, there's two ways to not argue with somebody. When somebody comes in, they want to argue, and you go, "Oh, I'm not supposed to argue because I'm trying to not feed this. So I'm not going to talk with this idiot because they're just arguing and yelling, and I can't do that." And shut up, Glenn. Shut up, Glenn. Okay, you better walk away because he's really getting to you now. Okay, walk away. Go. And then I do it, and then I get myself out of the situation. I can do it that way. And is it beneficial? Yeah. Like I said, this much. So, or you can change who you are, and then all of a sudden somebody comes in and they try arguing with you. Your energy is completely different. And they can be like, "You're an idiot." You can just be like, "Sorry you feel that way." It doesn't affect you, doesn't phase you. You're just love. You're like cheesecloth that goes right through. And then either all of a sudden they're like they're not used to that. They're expecting a reaction. They're expecting to upset you, so you storm off or something. That is so much more powerful. And sometimes that sparks a little seed in some people that you didn't even think that was possible. And sometimes it doesn't, and it doesn't matter. You're fine. That is enormously powerful because now all of a sudden you're meeting an energy of frustration and negativity with a gigantic ball of love that's 10 times stronger or 100 times stronger. And it just doesn't stand a chance. And so that's what we really, if we want to change the world, we need to change ourselves. We need to focus on ourselves, be a beacon of light. I always have the vision of a bonfire. It's like the more I stoke my fire, the brighter I burn, not only does the warmth emanate further and further, and the more people I can touch and the more people I can bring light to, but the further away the darkness is. I don't have to worry. I don't worry about darkness. Like, I simply don't worry about it. I have no fear of darkness. Why? Because it's nowhere near me. That's why. Because I practice stoking my fire. And it's funny, and it's a good like monitoring thing. If you start noticing darkness coming around you, negativity, anger, frustration, you start seeing those things, stoke your fire. Turn within, work on yourself, burn brighter, and then that stuff gets further away again. It's always inside work. It's always starting with us because it's the only thing we have control over.
And I just want to that what you just said was beautiful. But I want to, because of the subject nature of what we're talking about, I also want to touch on your thoughts as we end on using your fire, what burning brightly means as far as uh, putting out the positivity, putting out be the change you wish to see in the world. All work is inside work, but you're also, I mean, using that ability to be a loving advocate, um, you know, which is something that, and I say this because I know that, like you, for example, who uh, who I have tried to get to post on social media more for 4 years. I literally can't find anything on your social media anymore because you are constantly sharing positive news stories, the things that matter, the the info that needs to get out there. Like you're using whatever platform you have, whatever your bonfire to burn as bread as you can for others in that way. So can you just talk a little bit about how people can, when you say all work is inside work, to but you still are like saying, you can do what you can to help.
Oh yeah, I mean and that's going to be different for everyone, and that's part of the problem is if somebody tries to help in a way that we don't think is right, then all of a sudden we attack them, and then there's more separation.
Yes.
So we which that's the trap. It's everywhere. That trap is everywhere. That's why we need to stay focused. So it's yeah, what like that was, I did several things. I don't made donations, I signed petitions, I shared a ton of stuff, and but that was what I was moved to do. And so that's what I did. So like if this is I mean, I'll try to give more specifics in a minute, but this is what I meant when I said if you do the inside work, it will drive your actions. So, like, uh, if since I did the inside work, all of a sudden, what to do? I was like, well, I want to do this, so I did that. Well, I'm incapable of doing this right now. Okay, so I won't. I didn't get upset over it. If somebody wants to attack me over it, that's fine. I don't really care. I'm just going to do what I can do or what I feel moved to do and not second guess it. And, not be like, oh, I'm not good enough. I haven't done it. I'm just doing what I can, man. If everybody just did what they could, everybody'd be fine. So, as far as tangible stuff that we can do, it's, the biggest thing is do what feels right to you. There is no right and there is no wrong. And, there's 8 billion people on the planet and we're all different and we're going to see things differently. I think educating yourself is one thing that, that's another thing that I did was educate myself. Because when the Black Lives Matter came out before, I was like, yeah, I don't know. Like, all lives matter. Like, from my white perspective, I looked at it and I went, well, if we go Black Lives Matter, is that really stepping forward? Because I want us to live in a world, I want to stop the ego separation that we've talked about. I want to stop separating people. Because at the end of the day, we're going to have to do that anyway. At some point, we have to stop pretending we're different because we're just not. So I kind of want to just get to there. So my brain is going like, well, geez, I don't know about this Black Lives Matter because it's more separation. And I don't believe in separation. So that's how I was perceiving it. And then I wasn't actually against it or anything. But there was a part of me that was kind of like, kind of like all lives matter better. And when this came out, I was like, I need to, I slowed down like everybody else and was forced to look at this. And I was like, I think I need to understand this better, So I educated myself and I found out why they were saying Black Lives Matter. And they had an example of houses, a house on fire. And somebody's like, hey, my house is on fire. My house matters. Let's go put it out. And, it was a cartoon, and, there's somebody like hosing down their house going, well, my house matters too. It's not on fire, but, I just want to let you know that mine matters too. It's like, no, what we're saying is that there's a problem. Yes, all lives matter. Of course, all lives matter. What we're saying is it's being acted like Black lives don't. So we need to put our focus on that for this particular moment. So, like, we all know all lives matter, but there's this small section that is being treated differently. So we need to put our attention on that, put out the fire so everybody's life matters. We don't have to go protect a white person's life because it's not in danger. We have to protect the Black lives because those are the ones that are in danger right now. We have to put extra attention. And I'm like, oh, well, that makes perfect sense. Then also, so, I think we need to educate ourselves and see, like the article I read had nine reasons why Black Lives Matter. It explained it 9 different ways, and some people didn't like that article, or didn't like my post of that article or whatever, because I said I understand it more now. I like that, I'm on board with this Black Lives Matter thing because of my ignorance. I didn't understand it properly before. Now I do. Some people still didn't like it. Now, some people want to argue with the people who didn't that still want to say all lives matter. Why? There's no sense in that. I just posted an article with 9 different reasons. If you read an article that says 9 different reasons why this makes sense, you read that and you still say it doesn't make sense, then obviously you're not open to changing your opinion. Or you just disagree. It doesn't matter what it is. That conversation is over as far as I'm concerned. If somebody says, I don't agree with that, I go, okay, I respect your opinion, and I'll move on, because there's no sense in me talking to that person. The reason that it helped me is because my mind was open and I was looking for an exchange of ideas to come to the solution. So therefore it worked. So this is, maybe, I don't know if we've done a podcast on this, but the 3 things necessary for change are open-mindedness, honesty, and willingness. If your mind is not open and you're not willing, or you're incapable of being honest with yourself, if you're missing just one of those 3, you ain't changing. So if I notice somebody that is like, no, I'm locked on over here, I go, okay, have a great day. I'm going to be over here. And then, and then we can move on with our lives. So it's understanding that type of mentality and then finding what works for you. If going to I would go to protests in the daytime because they're dangerous at night and there's bad people in the world. Big shock. Apparently we didn't know this before. So go to protests if that's what you think you should do. I saw a little video of some little boy protesting out front of his house all alone, like a little 10-year-old boy with a sign, walking back and forth. Beautiful. Somebody else making signs and do online protests, sign petitions, donate money to causes that can help. Do whatever you think is going to be beneficial. Do videos about your perspectives. There's no one way. Find what works for you.
Thank you so much for sharing that story about your perspective shift and what you did and everything that we just talked about was a lot. So thank you so much. If you guys have questions for Glenn, he answers them live every Thursday, 6 p.m. Eastern on Facebook and YouTube Live. Also, ask Glenn anything. If you want to not do it publicly, you can send an email into glenn@glennambrose.com. Join the mailing list on glennambrose.com. And every Friday morning, we will email you, Ask Glenn Anything, where he answers one question per week, in depth, from a listener question. Also, you can check out the book. I feel weird plugging stuff right now. Go ahead, Glenn. Take us out.
Yeah, so I think, I was just kind of running a check to close out. And what I was getting is, remember, feed the positive, feed the positive. That was all that I shared, was positive, 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 positive. No, don't, when people are going, oh, this rioting is horrible, go look aren't the peaceful protests wonderful? Like, don't argue with the other side, just positive, positive, positive. Stay in that energy and feed that. And as much as you can, keep the topic alive. The problem is racism right now. The problem is a human being got killed, and that should be unacceptable in our society. It should be unacceptable. Nothing else. Don't let your attention be diverted in any other direction for any reason. Not over politics, not over rioting, not over anything that happens. Do not lose perspective on the problem at hand. And that problem is that a man was murdered. So if you keep your eyes on focused on the problem and working towards that singular solution, it's going to keep helping divert the attention back to that, back to that, back to that, so we can stay focused on a solution. Whenever somebody brings up something else, it's like, well, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about this. Not concerned about that. I'm concerned about this. Just keep bringing it back so we don't lose any momentum with the actual topic at hand, so we can actually have change occur. So that, and have whatever you do be love-based, like I said. So I think that's it. Thanks for listening, everybody. And we'll try to get these out soon. And we'll talk with you soon.